I'm Jen West, professional rebel of delight.
And I'm Dave Wiesdock, sage of creative scaffolding.
And this is shadow casting. Good day, audience. We are back again on another one of our shadow casting quote days. I hope everybody's ready. How about you, Dave? You ready for another podcast?
Oh yeah, I love quote days.
Yeah, they just bring the energy around and hopefully get you thinking a little bit, get you outside of your life a little bit, then suck you back in a new way. That's what we go for. Today, our quote is from a fictional character, which we've done before with Dan Millman and Socrates from Way of the Peaceful Warrior. But today, our quote is from Anne Rice and her Vampire Chronicles, and it's from the vampire Lastat and the character of Marius. So if you've read the books, you know who these characters are. If you haven't, a quick little story about Marius. He is over 2,000 years old. He was Roman. He's been roaming around for thousands of years and has seen a few things. So keep that in mind when you hear the quote. This man is old. So our quote of the day is, very few beings really seek knowledge in this world. Mortal or immortal, few really ask. On the contrary, they try to wring from the unknown the answers they have already shaped in their own minds. Justifications, confirmations, forms of consolation without which they can't go on. To really ask is to open the door to the whirlwind. The answer may annihilate the question and the questioner. This one often makes me, when I originally posted it and it got stuck in my head, yeah, maybe I don't want to know the answer. Maybe I don't want to ask those real questions. To think that the question might annihilate me, that's a big ask. There's a lot in that. And when I think about the word annihilate, you think death or physical death or you're gone. And then it gets out of the physical realm. And for me, into that spiritual realm where it annihilates your personality or who you've been in the past or what you believed. And then I get a little bit more curious. Then I kind of want to ask those real questions. What comes up for you, Dave?
I think what comes up for me in this quote is product versus process. And what I mean by that is I put on like more the scientific method inquiry mindset to this. And what I notice is that oftentimes we make an observable pass at the universe. We make an observation. We notice that the sun always rises in the east and sets in the west. And quote unquote, back in the day, when they saw that, they went, oh, because of that, the earth must be in the center of the universe. And so what they quote unquote, what scientists did back then is built models around that concept. They built models to justify and create confirmation around the fact that they believed that the sun rotated around the earth. And what we came to find is that we actually have a heliocentric model where the sun is actually in the center of our galaxy and the earth rotates around the sun. And because of the way the earth rotates, that's what causes the sun to show up in the east and set in the west. That's why, for me, this quote comes up into product versus process. Are we trying to finalize a product based on an observation, or are we investing in the process? I talked on this podcast a lot that curiosity is one of my main values. And the other thing that comes up with this, holding that same context of the sun at the center of the universe or the galaxy, is that ego can get in the way here. And I think that plays a lot to what you were talking about from the spiritual component of this, which is sometimes we can make observations of things and our ego tells us we saw it, therefore it is X, Y, or Z. And then we fill in story without really going through this scientific method of testing what we've observed. And I think that's where it really boils down to at the end, with the answer may eradicate the question and the questioner. What ends up happening is as we remove the ego has to be removed in order to get to the answer, because otherwise we're dealing with a limited truth. And I believe that objective truths, like those kind of universal truths, exist, and they're there for us to digest and observe. but there's this lens or this gap that's created with the ego. And so to really get to that answer that's beyond justification, that's beyond consolation, that's beyond confirmation, we also have to go beyond the ego. And so in that way, yes, to get to the answer, there is that eradication of self.
Yeah, that does go down the rabbit hole of deep spirituality. You hear from spiritual leaders, you want enlightenment, but do you understand what enlightenment is? You're gone once you're enlightenment. The I that is seeking it has to go to become it. And that's a crazy idea. It's like, yeah, you want it, but do you realize what that's going to cost?
And once you get it, if you really go through that ego death, does the answer even matter? That's why the question. Yeah.
After that, who cares? There's no point. Yeah. So the annihilation, it makes so much sense through that. But it also brings us back just to our everyday and our biases. I mean, the part besides the annihilation part that just touches is that they try to wring from the unknown the answers they have already shaped in their own minds. So we're asking ourselves questions that support the answers that we want. And that's dangerous. And we all do it. I mean, we have to catch ourselves. Am I asking questions that support what I want to know already? Whether that be in politics or in relationships where we're bickering with each other, or just in the way the world is turning now. Am I trying to find the answers that already confirm what I want to believe, that justify the things that I think are already right, that console me so that I don't have to think that something that's happening is bad or wrong?
Yeah, it kind of brings to mind, well, and I think that's where I was going with the ego, right? It's like confirmation bias. Mm-hmm. It's, here's my observable fact. Now let me go find everything that supports this fact.
And we have a limited view. We can't see much.
Yeah, and the answers can change over time too. For the longest time, we thought the atom was the most observable, smallest thing that we could observe. Then we broke down the atom into protons, neutrons, and electrons. Then we broke that down into quarks, and we keep breaking it down into smaller parts, smaller quarks, smaller fragments. And it's not that those things didn't exist before then. It's just we grew in our understanding. We grew in our ability to understand. I think that's another large part of this, is that as we step outside of sort of this confirmation bias or ego-driven questioning, we begin to develop and cultivate a deeper understanding of the world around us. And in doing that, it brings us to that just deeper level of understanding. And I think that is really where the gem comes out for me in this, is, like you said, he's 1,000, 2,000 years old and
magical.
And magical, right?
Yeah.
So I think that time component really plays in here too, is it's not a one and done thing either. It's a constant evolution, a constant process. And unfortunately right now that I know of, I don't have 2,000 years. So in other podcasts, we talk about our priority. And I think that's kind of where that plays in. It's our ability to, where do we want to spend our time on this earth focusing? Where do we want to go? And where do we want to expand the depths of our horizons and understandings?
Yeah, and I think this quote is coming out of a conversation where a younger vampire, the vampire Lastat, wants to understand, and he doesn't understand the world, and it's not working the way that he wants it to work, this younger vampire. And Marius is telling him the world changes and you've got to change with it. And you've got to adapt with it, and it goes fast, and you can't stay stuck in your century. You have to become what the world gives you. And granted, these guys live forever, but this happens to us too. We get stuck. You'll see those people who are still referencing everything from when they were in high school and college, and they're 60, and they just haven't followed where the world has gone. And then you see those that just adapt and grow. They pick it up. They use skibbity correctly.
Yeah. I think it was in our group we were talking to some people, and they made that comment, like they forgot how old we were because we were using more the younger lingo. And I think that plays into it, right? It's that ability, like you said, to adapt. And it does go fast. And it's hard too, because I mean, putting myself in Marius's perspective for a minute, if he really was Roman, and then 1,000 years later, I mean, I'm sure there was some judgment from the other side too, right? I mean, the Romans developed the aqueducts, they developed latrine systems, and they built roads that are still standing today, where meanwhile, our roads are getting repaired every 6 to 9 months if you're lucky. And they need repairs every 6 to 9 months. So in some ways, I think that eternal knowledge shows that there are things to be learned from the past in a way, but it's where, again, it just keeps going back to that egocentric mindset for me. Are you so engrossed in the past that you're ignoring the ability and value and gift and lessons of the present? Or are you leaning on that as a lens in how to view the here and now? And it comes down to mindset.
Yeah, I like that. Looking through the lens of who you were, what you believed decades ago. We'll just stay in the decades to make your choices now instead of growing and evolving and annihilating a portion of that ego to step into what currently is. And it's a skill and it's scary.
I was just about to say that. That's a scary void, the annihilation of self. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about that so nonchalantly, but really, when you get out the little poppers and noisemakers, it's like a New Year's resolution, right? Like, I'm going to annihilate the self.
But if you want to live, you have to keep up. You can't get stuck. You have to allow yourself to evolve. And I think that's the underlying message Anne Rice was trying to get at. Wake up. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in a mindset. Don't get stuck in a lifestyle. Don't get stuck. Be able to evolve and change.
And really, I mean, that is such a powerful literary motif too, right? Because when a vampire becomes a vampire, at least in my mythos understanding, that's the age that they became a vampire at is the age they are. So in a lot of ways, they are frozen in time. Yeah. So it speaks, I think, to Marius's ability to move beyond the physical frozen in time self. And that, I mean, just like you said, that really is a skill.
But I think we all get frozen in time with age. Think of dementia. Oh, yeah. Because they look in the mirror and they think that old person can't be them. Because they think of themselves. I know I think of myself as younger. I look in the mirror and be like, oh yeah, I'm a little older now. Got a few more wrinkles,
Oh yeah, especially when you see like those photos of when you were younger, like, teens and stuff. And then you look in the mirror and it's like, oh, well, at least for me, I don't have that hair anymore, So it's that's a real noticeable change, but
it's fun to think about. And I'm curious what our audience thinks of our fictional character, immortal beings, and being able to keep changing and adapting and growing and the annihilation of self.
All right. So thank you guys for listening, checking out our podcast. Wherever you're listening, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that way you get notifications when a new episode's posted. Drop us a like. Let us know what you thought of this or any of our podcasts in the comments section. And share us out with your friends and family. Let them know if you found this helpful. Maybe they will too.
Until next time.
See ya.